Alright, so we got some NBA news finally kicking off on the trade rumor side of things. So Blake Griffin will be out of the Detroit Pistons lineup until the organization and his reps can work through a resolution on his playing future. We all know about Blake Griffin this season, who's had a terrible season to say the least, and his overall has gone down by a huge slot. So recap, he's been with the Pistons for 4 seasons. He's only made the playoffs within 1 season, and that was the 2019 NBA season when they lost in the first round to the Milwaukee Bucks when Giannis has a breakthrough first MVP season. And during that, Blake Griffin has always been injury prone. During that playoff series, he only came back the last 2 games, which they got swept. But the Detroit Pistons, as of right now, they've gone a whole new direction. They brought in Jeremy Grant, who's actually become a bubble player, being an all-star. He's averaging 24 a night. They traded away Derrick Rose. They're probably going to let go of Dwayne Casey pretty soon. You brought in Jahlil Okafor, DeLon Wright, some young pieces, but that team is all over the place as it is. A weird mix of young cats with veterans. But sticking with Blake Griffin, 4 seasons with the Detroit Pistons, and within those seasons, typically, he's always been somewhat of an all-star player within his career. I mean, when he was with the Pistons, his first season, he would give you 20 a night. The next season, 24 a night when he was an all-star. But the last 2 seasons have been a downtrend. So in 2019, the 2020 NBA season, he only played 18 games and he averaged around 15 a night. Now within this season, he's played pretty much the majority of all games. He'll give you 31 minutes a night, but within that, his production level has gone down tremendously. He's only averaging 12 points a night, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. And Blake Griffin hasn't even had a dunk since a year and a half. It's been crazy on his side, but basically right now there's going to be trade rumors for Blake Griffin. There are any few teams I can kind of expect to go for him in his big contract around $30 million, and then he can opt into $36 million in the 2022 NBA season. So that leaves a weird position. The Pistons need to blow it up. They're finally realizing it. I mean, they let go of Derrick Rose for a reason, and they want to build off Jeremy Grant and some other pieces they can kind of fit alongside with him. With Blake Griffin, it's about time he's been on the trade market. Few teams that kind of make sense, which are very little to say the least, because no one wants to take on that contract. But maybe if you're the Brooklyn Nets as a contending team for that $30 million, you'll probably have to whip up some type of trade package with the third team. DeAndre Jordan will have to be out of there. Maybe they can do an exception for Spencer Dinwiddie since he is injured. You're going to have to include most likely Joe Harrison there as well, alongside those lines. But who knows if the Nets are that desperate to bring in Blake Griffin? I'm not sure if that's the case or not. But that's the only contender I can ever see making that type of trade. If you're looking for a team that wants to rebuild and pretty much just wants to bring him in, would be the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, I think this makes the most sense out of anyone. You can give away Al Horford's contract. You can give away, you have Al Horford. You can bring in a third-team trade, anything along those lines. But basically, the Pistons can give away a couple second-round picks, probably 2, and they can take on Al Horford in exchange. Give away Blake Griffin and 2 second-round picks to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Sam Presti likes to bring on expiring contracts or something close to that and bring in some draft compensation. So that makes sense for the Thunder. I think that would actually not somewhat revive his career, but put him in a new organization, something that has structure and a backbone. I can actually see Blake Griffin with the Thunder very well. If you're looking at other teams out there that would take on that contract, I don't expect that to be the case. If you're the Washington Wizards, if you're that desperate to try to work out Russ with Bradley Beal, then sure, do it. But that's already a sinking ship as it is. Maybe for the Toronto Raptors, if you're that desperate to bring in a quote-unquote big, but I don't think that's the case whatsoever. So you're in a weird position. If you're Blake Griffin, you may have to write it out with the Detroit Pistons until a few more weeks till they find out some trade suitors. But besides from that, I don't see any other teams that would actually take on that contract except for possibly the Brooklyn Nets if they're that desperate to let go of DeAndre Jordan and get a quote-unquote big, which Blake Griffin isn't a big, but you know how it goes. If they want to play the kind of that small ball. But Oklahoma City Thunder, I think that makes the most sense. Bring in some draft compensation. You let go of Al Horford's big contract of 3 years, and it kind of recycles the process. But let me know what you guys think down below. What are the best trade suitors for Blake Griffin and trade proposals?